Hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the fourth season of First and Foremost. I cannot even believe that we have had over 36 First Ladies here, and you guys are still sticking with us and sticking by us. And guess what? We've got more shows to come, so welcome to the fourth season of First and Foremost. I want to take this time to thank everyone who called in during our seasons. Without you guys, this show is absolutely nothing. So I appreciate you calling in and certainly supporting our First Ladies and giving them something certainly to talk about, because I'm still getting a lot of positive feedback from each and every one of our guests. I want to thank our very last guest who talked about bonus mom vibes. First Lady did just such a wonderful job, and I really hope to have her at one of our conferences. I love all of her paraphernalia, and I was just telling our First Lady guest here today that sometimes one word can really just change the narrative about a person's entire life. So I think a bonus mom, those words sound so much softer and so much kinder, and I believe that that's the road to success in any of the parenting or extra parenting that we go through. So thank you so much, First Lady, and we will be getting in contact with one another. I want to thank my sponsors, Elegant Beauty Cosmetics. She is offline right now, but she's actually in the process of opening up a brick and mortar coming up in Livonia. Her store is absolutely beautiful, so I give God all the glory for that. And if you guys, I thank you for using all of our First and Foremost family discount codes, and I hope that you are enjoying the product. It truly is a quality product, and she does all of that stuff herself. So Janetta Thompson, I'm looking forward to more product, and I'm looking forward to more sponsorship this year, and also to tailor-made bodybuilding and construction. If your body isn't becoming to you, then you need to be coming to Audrey. As I said before, at the beginning of the year, everyone was trying to hold on to their resolutions, but now that the summer has come, people have dropped out, and she has so many spaces available. So again, you guys need to go to my story to get that information from Reverend Audrey Taylor. If your body isn't becoming to you, then you definitely need to be coming to Audrey. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, again, I'm just so excited to be back in the chair this season. And our First Ladies, the guests are just so, I guess you guys will find out for yourselves. As proof in the show, we have learned so much from our First Ladies, and you guys have continued to support. So thank you for tuning into the show that highlights the greater woman behind the great man of God. So without further ado, our First Lady guest tonight is from The Hill. I absolutely love that. First Lady LaToya Smith. Yay! LaToya, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to be on the show. I've been trying to get you on the show for a while.
Yes, you have.
Finally just said, yeah, I'll just be on the show. So I absolutely love that.
Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. Talk to me a little bit about your relationship with your husband. Talk to me about you.
How far you want me to go back?
Way back. I want to go from the very beginning.
So Pastor Smith and I met on the campus actually of Wilberforce University in Wilberforce, Ohio. I attended Wilberforce. He attended Central State University, which are both HBCUs in Wilberforce, Ohio, literally right across the street from each other. So we initially met in 1996 when he was visiting someone that he went to school with. And I was like, nah, I don't want that. I don't want that nothing to do with you. And then in 1997, actually August, September of 97, we reconnected at the beginning of our sophomore year. And we started talking, going to parties like we do being in college. And then October 1st, 1997, he asked me if I would be his girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
And then actually February 14th, 1998, we got engaged.
Oh my goodness, move right along.
And we've been moving along. We did not get married until 2022. No, 2002, because he wanted me to finish my master's degree, and we've been together ever since then.
I love Pastor for that.
Yes.
And talk about your children.
So we have 3 children. Our oldest son, Gregory Smith III, just recently made over to Sigma Land. So he is a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, New Alpha Sigma chapter. So he is 20. He goes to the University of Olivet. He will be a junior in the fall, and he is focusing on criminal justice and corrections.
Awesome.
Then our daughter Gabrielle is a senior in high school. All I can see every time I look at her is money going out the door. So she'll be applying to colleges soon. She's in the marching band, swimming, basketball. She's done a little bit of everything during her high school year. And then our baby boy, Gavin, will be in the 6th grade in the fall.
Wow, so she got a lot going on.
So those are our babies.
And you got a lot going on, all areas covered. Talk to me about your parents and your upbringing as far as Christian, your Christian belief.
So, like most parents, and I'm going to do this in 2 parts. So my parents were married for most of my elementary, well, I'll say a good part of my elementary school years. And then they divorced, so I was raised in a single parent home with my younger brother, Lamar. And we had, of course, visits with my dad, who eventually remarried to my bonus mom, my stepmother, who had 5 children. So then they had a 6th child because they adopted my youngest brother. So my mom and my dad were always in the church. So between Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church and New Prospect Missionary Baptist Church, I was in one of those 2 churches growing up, and I truly love Pastor Sampson because irregardless of what you were going to, he said, "Come on, gal, come and talk to me." And then with the late, and they're both gone on to glory, but to Pastor Wilma R. Johnson, she was just welcoming as well. And so I've been under some great dynamic Baptist leaders. So that is where my upbringing has led me thus far.
Now let me ask you a question. When you got over to Zion Hill, there was a first lady there, or first lady emeritus. How did, talk to me about the relationship and how did that come about?
So when we got to Zion Hill Baptist Church, they had been without a pastor for about 8 years. About 8 years, give or take. So the first lady and I can say that when we first got there, we did bump heads because I wanted to support my husband. She still believed in her role as being First Lady Emeritus, and I was still trying to find my way and navigate being a first-time First Lady, supporting my husband, being a mother. So we did bump heads a lot, and through the grace of God and a lot of prayer and a lot of intercession, she and I have a very good relationship now. And I can say First Lady Emeritus, she is probably one of Pastor's biggest supporters right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know how difficult that can be, difficult conversations that need to be had. What do you think, and this is just true for anyone who's experiencing this, First Ladies, and for you people in the audience who need to know about this, how was that really handled? I know you said it was through prayer, but sometimes we as women have to have those conversations. Did you include Pastor in that? Did you pull her to the side? How did that come to a head?
I think as being women, we hear a lot in the background, right? And especially in the role of First Lady, you always have people talking to you, talking at you, talking behind you, praying with you, and you really have to use your discernment, right? And it came to a point where I just had to be LaToy. I had to shut out all of those noises, all of those voices, and recenter myself and be the type of person that I wanted my children to follow. So once I got to that point, and I was spiritually mature enough, then I went to her and we had that tough conversation, right? And it wasn't just one conversation, it was several conversations, and it just worked itself out.
Well, you and I were talking earlier about conversations about us women having thick skin, and certainly being in leadership positions, you have to have thick skin. And you just said something that I want to make sure that everybody heard. As women, mature women, you have to have these hard conversations.
You do, but I think you have to have those conversations at the right time and be in the right space mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Because if those three are not aligned, the conversation will not go in the way that it is intended to go. So when you have those conversations, again, you have to keep those background voices and those background noises to the side and be true to who you are. Of course, get counsels from our husbands and our pastors, read the Bible, but more importantly, be your authentic self.
Yes.
Before you came to the church, before you heard all of those voices, who were you mentally, spiritually, and emotionally?
Yes.
And once those align, then I was ready to have those conversations.
And you do have to be ready. But I do know one thing, timing is everything. But one thing I do also know is that everybody's time is not your time.
Absolutely.
So when you said you were having those conversations more than once, it's the timing of it all.
Absolutely.
So eventually it all came to a same time where you guys could agree on something. And I believe that first lady, she's sweet.
She
Very
is.
kind. She's very supportive. Very supportive.
She is.
And
I think there's a difference between actively listening and passively listening. And when you're passively listening, we're just listening not to get an understanding, and I don't like to use that word, but we're just like, we're passively listening because we just want you to be quiet.
Exactly.
Right? But when we're actively listening, we are actually hearing not only the words that person is saying, but we're looking at the body language. We're looking at the heart.
Yes.
So at the beginning, we were having those very passive conversations. And then it got to the point where we were ready to have those active listening conversations where we actually heard one another. And I think that is more important than anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know the age difference, because I know you're always going to be respectful, and you'll have to keep that in mind. But I think, did Pastor ever say, hey, work it out?
Oh,
you as the person.
Oh, he absolutely said that, but he understood that I'm stubborn as a bull. She is very stubborn.
Yes,
where we, we are probably more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
But we just had to get to that place again where we were mature enough to have those conversations. Yeah. And even now, I'll say, you really need to do this in order to get this result. And she'll say, well, only because you said so will I do this, but I don't agree. And I have to say, I appreciate you for trying.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And she'll say the same to me.
You know what? All of these words are going to go back to our conversation earlier, because I just appreciate you following me. Let's see how this works for a minute, because it's a new position for us, and we want to just make sure ultimately it has to be good for the group of people, not just me and you. So ultimately, sometimes I don't want us to say have that stiff upper lip and just move on, because genuinely we do have to be able to get along with people, and people see through that. And I think they really, I'll never forget Sister Matthew said that first ladies are always being watched. You never know who's looking at your facial expressions or what you're saying or what your mouth is saying when they can't hear, because they're always looking for something to say.
Even out in the community, they're looking for something to say. So again, you have to be your authentic self.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And you know what, the way that you speak, and I can imagine that you being stubborn, is because you're an educator. Is that right?
I am an educator,
and
yes.
You have that kind of persona about yourself. I'm serious, And that's why I say this is why I love you so much. You're not only intelligent, you're smart, and you have that. The other first lady that we have on it, it was just something about, yes, what did you say? I'm just all ears. I'm listening. She's very authoritative, but had that sense of, I really care about you. And that's how you are. But I think this is what makes a good educator, right?
So I've been a social worker in the state of Michigan for over 20 years. And for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been, I'm actually an associate professor at a local university. So dealing with my adult learners has shown me a different level of compassion and a different level of empathy.
Wow.
That I don't know it all. And that's why we have to look at people's experiences and we have to meet them where they are. That is one of the fundamental things that the field of social work teaches you: meet people where they are. And I think oftentimes in the church, we don't meet people where they are. We want them to be where we are. And sometimes you have to take those steps.
That's true.
And sometimes you have to go down a little bit lower than what you're comfortable with, but you need to be able to reach that person.
That's true. That's very true. Bishop says that all the time. We have to meet them where they are. And when you really think about that, I think we know where they are. We know where they are, and we know what we have to get to have those conversations. So I appreciate that. I certainly do appreciate First Lady for that, because I know that got to be a challenge. So, ladies and gentlemen, we always do this segment called Tell the Truth, First Lady.
Okay, I'm going to try my best.
Not only is this about First Ladies, because I want you guys out in the audience, and we have Minister Jackie here, which I'm so glad to have her back with me on this 4th season. And so if you guys want to answer some of these questions, which I hope that you will respond accordingly, and I will certainly get back to you when Minister Jackie comes up here to let me know what's going on with you guys. Tell the truth, First Lady. Have you ever smiled through an entire service while your feet were screaming?
Yes, that's why I don't wear heels anymore. My church knows that I take my shoes off and I will walk without my shoes. Yes.
I've actually seen
yes.
that. I've seen that. Have you ever forgotten someone's name but hugged them anyway?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I know that for sure. Have you ever said, I'll pray about it, because you didn't know what else to say?
Yes.
Yes. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are guilty of that, because I've heard people say that to me. Have you ever hidden in the restroom just to get 5 minutes alone?
Oh, absolutely. And in pastor's office.
Pastor's office. I know that's right.
Yes.
Now you done told people where you are. Okay, you gotta be careful about that. Have you ever wanted to skip church but knew that you couldn't?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. I try.
Yes.
If you could skip a Sunday, what Sunday would you not skip?
I would never skip Communion Sunday, which is the first Sunday.
That's exactly
yes.
Right. That's exactly right. Yep. Have you ever cried on the drive home after a service?
No.
Okay.
No.
Good. Have you ever felt like everyone knew your husband but nobody knew you?
Yes. Yeah.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one, because they think, when you're elected or selected for the church, that you're a package deal, and everybody is, I have to know pastor, I have to know bishop, and just because you know our husbands, you think you know us.
Exactly.
And we're two different entities.
Totally. And that's the platform for this show. Wasn't that a great segue, Jason? That's a segue for the show, to say, look at me, and I know most of us have heard pastor, but you've not heard me. So that's what this show is. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Have you ever felt guilty for saying no?
Yes.
And why is that?
Because I don't like to say no. I always like to find alternate solutions, and to me, no is like final. Like when I say no, I'm done. So I always try to find alternate solutions before I say no.
Well, I like that. But one thing I believe with women and mothers, I think we find ourselves saying yes way more than we ever say no, even when we want to.
Well, my new thing is I'll think about it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, instead of saying no, I'll just say, I'll think about it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think that's what we have to think about, what God does for us sometimes. He's not really telling us no, he's just telling us not now.
Right, not now.
Not now.
Not now,
I
yes.
absolutely love that. Have you ever been expected to fix something that you didn't break?
At home or at church?
This is the First Lady show. You
Yes.
about it.
Yes.
Yes. And I think as women, we do that too. I think that's a responsibility, isn't it?
Yes.
And what do you do about that at church?
I'll tell my husband, the pastor, like I'll try to figure it out the best I can. And then our oldest son, Greg, is really good at putting things together. So if he's home, I'll ask him to do it. But if not, I'll just go tell him myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just tell him myself, because he's going to find out anyway.
He's going to find out anyway. That much is true. Have you ever poured into everyone else while feeling empty yourself?
Absolutely.
And as parents, we do that?
Yes.
As wives, we do that?
More importantly, as women, we do that. Negate all of those other titles that we have been given, that we have become. As women, we do that, especially as African American women.
For sure. And I think, again, the platform for the show is to just say, we are married to the pastors, your pastor, but we're just women. And people don't see that as a difference, because after you take the hat off, literally, there are things that need to be done at home.
Even when you have the hat on, there are things that need to be done at
A lot
home.
of times it's so funny, because if I come home from church, or if I used to come home from work, I still have my clothes. Sometimes I still have my purse on my shoulder. I'm washing dishes.
Yeah.
I just get right in. It's like, when are you going to take it off? And I'm thinking, does it ever really come off. I don't think it ever really comes off. You guys. Anyway, we can talk about that forever. Have you ever wondered if anyone noticed that you were struggling?
Yes. Yes.
Do people know that you're a first lady on your job?
Very few. Very, very few.
Do they call you first lady?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Has God ever carried you when nobody knew you needed carrying?
Absolutely.
Has another first lady ever helped you keep going?
Absolutely.
Has ministry ever broken you and blessed you at the same time?
Absolutely.
Talk to me about that, an experience with that. And ladies and gentlemen, for you guys out in the audience, the question was, have you ever wondered, no, that's not it. Has ministry ever broken you and blessed you at the same time?
So when we look at broken, we can look at it in several different ways. And there's this phenomenon that goes out about church hurt. And it's not really necessarily church hurt. It's hurt people hurting people. It just happens within the church building.
Yes.
And again, you hear all of these negative voices, all of this, she's trying to take over, she's trying to do this, she's trying to do that. Okay, that's who I am as a person. But that hurts when you know that you are doing the very best that you can do and who you are authentically, right? But then because you are being your authentic self, you are attacked.
Yes.
But at the same way, while you being attacked, God is blessing you because you get double fold blessings that people don't see that you get. So sometimes you have to be attacked in order for God to bless you in a way that other people don't see it.
Amen. I agree with that. I agree with that.
You know, they say the battle is not ours, it's the Lord.
Yes.
And while you're going through that dynamic, you're like, okay, God, when are you going to bring me out of this? How long do I have to sit in this? But he's saying, I need you to sit in this so that you learn the lessons that I am trying to teach you, so that when I bring you out of this, I am getting the glory and not man.
Amen.
That you are getting the blessing that is only for you. And sometimes, again, that blessing could simply be $5. That blessing can be, you know, you've done a wonderful job. You never know how God is going to bless you, but sometimes you just have to sit and be a part of that uncomfortable moment for God to deliver you and to bless you.
Amen. Amen. That is so very true. I got something on my mind. I'm reflecting, and it's not about being a bigger person. It's about just doing what's right authentically. Do you think we as first ladies have a problem being authentically ourselves?
I think we do, because we try to fit this mold of being a first lady. The lady emeritus wear hats. So when I first got there, I would wear a hat. And I was like, this is not me. So then I said, I'm going to wear a fascinator.
Okay.
That's not me. So I had to become my authentic self. And some people like me being authentic, and some people don't.
Right.
And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, I'm not here for you.
Exactly.
I'm here for God.
I'm here for God. That's true. And someone said on the show also, you know, what God has for you, it is for you. And even though I might not like the way you look or the dress, but what is the problem? Because whatever it is, if God has that for you, why are you so worried about Sister LaToya? That too is a mindset, something that we as women have to really work hard on.
I think I'm going to use this term very loosely.
Okay.
This has been bred in us in slavery. How the slave masters would pit light-skinned women against dark-skinned women. How he would pit housemaids from the people in the field, right? So if you're light-skinned, you're inherently better. If you have a different hair texture, you're inherently better. So I think a lot of it has come through the generations. coming from slavery, and we don't know how to break that cycle. And oftentimes we just can't say, hey sister, you looking really good today.
Right.
Or hey sister, I appreciate you said that to me, without feeling that we won't be received or won't be reciprocated. Because we have always been taught, especially as African Americans, that what goes at home stays at home. You have to hold your head higher, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I think, again, going back to slavery in the 50s and 60s, with the dissolution of the African American family, and how different systems try to undermine the familial relationship, we have been told just to keep your head down and just go through to get through.
That's true. Yeah.
And when you go through to get through, you can't see the beauty in somebody else. You can't see that somebody is just a caterpillar trying to become a butterfly, trying to become a diamond. Because we're always in this survival mode.
We're always in survival mode. That's very true. That's very
But when we get tired of being in survival mode, then that's when we get tired. That's when we have our breaks. That's when we're disappointed. That's when you hear the word no more.
Right.
Because we're taking a break from being that survivor and just being. Yeah.
I love the way you said that. I mean, that was plain and simple. That was very plain and simple. So thank you so much for explaining that. Ladies and gentlemen, my producer is saying that we need to take a break. Is that correct, Jason?
Yes.
So ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back in just a few moments. And thank you again for joining us in our 4th season of First and Foremost. We'll be right back after this message. Hello everyone, First Lady Lakeitha London here, host of First and Foremost. You know, the show that's all about your First Lady. Well, guess what? We are in season 4 and I cannot believe it. God has been so good. We have had a litany of First Ladies in our first year, and season 4 promises to have a whole lot more. I'm working on a new set right now. Guess what? Great conversations still to be had, great prizes to be won, and this season promises to be one of the best seasons yet. Tune in this Tuesday, August the 4th, for our grand opening show. Looking forward to seeing you guys. So until then, take care and God bless. And guess what we're doing? Celebrations and come on! See you next Tuesday.
Hello, good evening, and welcome everyone, and welcome to another episode of First and Foremost. I am your host, First Lady Lakeitha London, and in the first chair on tonight is no one, because you have yet to call me First Lady. First and Foremost is a platform that's created just for you. It's giving us an opportunity to be seen and to be heard. Come and share your story in the first chair on First and Foremost. It is indeed waiting for you.
I was in a conversation with someone the other day,
And the conversation got a little heated because it was certainly something that I was passionate about.
and during the conversation, the young woman said, "Oh, First Lady, I never thought of it that way."
I apologize.
You certainly do bring a different perspective. And you know what I said to that? Here's the First and Foremost, the show about the First Lady's perspective. Thank you for tuning in.
Her perspective is unique because she sees both the public platform and the private process. She witnesses the tears behind the sermons, the warfare behind the worship, and the cost behind the calling.
And First Lady London, Patricia Graham said, you give a great understanding of a First Lady perspective. And if you can elaborate a little bit more on being a First Lady.
Which mean for Lady, you meant for Lady LaToya Smith, not for Lady London. Is that
I'm
correct?
sorry. First Lady London, about First Lady Smith. I'm so sorry, First Lady Smith.
Yes, ma'am.
Patricia Graham said that you give a great perspective of being of what a First Lady is, and she would like for you to just elaborate a little bit more.
The best elaboration is that you are there to support your husband You are still a child of God. You are a worker of God, and you are a spiritual being. So being a first lady is a man-made title, right? Because it is not biblically known. If we want to go true biblically, it's called an elect lady.
That's true.
But being a first lady is simply reverence, being a support to your husband, being a support to your church. And if we want to look at it realistically, being on all of the ministries, donating money, cleaning, cooking, and everything else that we do. But fundamentally, it is just being a child of God.
Thank you.
That's what I would say.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Thank you so very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, please don't hesitate to send in your questions. And I forgot to give the telephone number. Please call in with any of your questions, 313-759-1568. And Minister Jackie will be happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Ferdine.
I think that we've proven something tonight, too, that first ladies don't need more applause. What we need is more support. We don't need higher expectations. We just need some healthier expectation. And I think you've proven that here, because husbands don't really know what to tell us in these roles, and we're really just trying to figure it out as we go. But we've proven that here tonight. Now, these are some working questions, so we're going to just move on. Whenever we have any comments, you guys feel free to interrupt the show, Minister Jackie. Thank you. What does a Monday morning look like for you after a full day of Sunday services?
Waking up, getting myself together, and then waking Gavin up to get him ready to go to school. After he's at school, I'll eat a little bit, and then I'll start working. So that's a typical Monday morning for me.
Well, you didn't mention anything about Pastor.
He's already at work by the time I wake up.
Okay.
Yeah, he works earlier. He is a bivocational pastor.
Okay.
So normally, of course, he always kisses and tells me he'll see me later. But once I wake up, that is some of the things that I do. But yeah.
So when you're asleep, he comes and kiss you and say, "Hey, I'll see you later."
Yeah, or have a good day, or babe, I love you. Yeah.
Oh, Pastor, that's so sweet. You know what? That's a good way to start the day.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. He does that quite frequently. Yeah, every day. Yeah, every day when he wakes up before me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
So that's my typical Monday.
Okay. Now, how do you balance being an employee and a first lady?
Those are two different things. Because as a first lady, my duty is to God. As an employee, my duty is to my adult learners, right? To make sure that they know what they need to know to be successful in the field. So that's how I make the differentiation.
You know what? We've had 1,000 conferences. I don't recall you ever talking about your position or bringing this up.
I've never been asked.
See, this is one thing that bothers me. I have had so many first ladies on this show that are full of resources. We could have, I don't want to get into this because I spoke with somebody about, are we conferenced out? But I think it's the content of the conference, and you would bring a great perspective to that. Well, anyway, duly noted. Duly noted. You haven't been asked, so we're going to move forward into that. And you do know that she has a PhD. She's literally a PhD, and I'm not going to get into, a lot of our first ladies are getting the types of education, PhDs, doctor, blah, blah, blah. You got this because you needed it for your job.
Correct. I have, I was granted my PhD from Oakland University in 2018. Yes, I have an earned doctorate.
Yes, you do.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
I have an earned doctorate.
Yes. Do people assume ministry is your job?
Actually, no, they don't.
Really?
No, they don't.
Now that's interesting. How did you bypass that?
Because my husband is extremely protective of me. And he tells them all the time, this ministry is mine. My wife is here to help me.
Wow.
So he has been extremely supportive of that. Yeah.
I love that. I think it doesn't matter what the church says. You've got to have that support from your husband, because
Absolutely.
you got to be able to step in and just shut it down.
Absolutely.
I said, you know what? You really surprised me about that. I'll have to give you a big hug next time I see you. Just a big teddy bear. I love that. What kind of pressure comes from trying to do both very well? Or in your case, do it all very well?
Being healthy. I am a big proponent of self-care. That is one of the things that I teach my adult learners, is self-care is essential.
Yes, it
because how can you pour out of an empty cup?
Amen.
And even a halfway full cup, how can you pour out of that? So just taking time to recenter myself is essential, and listening to my body, because for a while I was not listening to my body, and I would go home after events and I couldn't move. I would be snapping at everybody, and Pastor said something has to give. Yes, something has to give.
But you know your body, you know.
But you know your body, but do you listen to your body?
That's true. I was just going to say that. That's very true. And these are going to be some serving questions. Is there a difference between serving because you love God and serving because people expect you to?
When you serve God, people have that expectation, but ultimately you are serving God to benefit man.
That's true. Very true. When have you had to establish some healthy boundaries? This is a tricky question for our first ladies because, again, you don't want to be LaToya from the hood, but you also don't want people to be able to walk over you.
I'm going to give that credit to my husband because he has been very firm in their expectations of me.
In the pulpit?
In the pulpit and out of the pulpit. So I have to give him the credit. And he will also say, you know what, you're doing too much. Yeah. So I have to give him that credit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So he sometimes said you're doing too much in the church?
Yes.
But ultimately, and I know that you have we're going to talk about the demographics at your church. You're going to be busy.
Yes.
Because you're trying to be the youth, the seniors, the older, and I think innately first ladies are hospitality people. So you're going to be doing what you got to do. But pastor would say, hey, stop, you're doing too much.
You're doing too much, especially during banquets or we have dinner. Just sit down and eat. You know, the kitchen committee has this. You need to refuel yourself. They got this. We have a committee for that. So even though half the time I don't listen, but just hearing him say that is reassuring.
That's really sweet. Yeah, and I think that's important again to just keep getting that reassurance from your husband, because I think people will be expecting you to be doing everything anyway. Yeah, they just do. How do you protect your joy?
It becomes compartmentalized. And I say that to say that sometimes you have to be different versions of yourself depending on the situation that you are in. So there is a First Lady LaToya. There's a Dr. LaToya. There's a mom. So when you know how to put yourself in different compartments, you know how to find joy in each one of those situations.
Did you hear that? That was profound.
Yeah.
That was profound. Now, is that your psychology degree speaking, or is that your talk?
That is real life experience, because I worked in the hospital for 15 years. And especially during COVID, we all had to reassess how we handle things. So one of the things that my husband and I established, we would talk about work on the way home. Once you got home, there was no more work talk.
Love that.
I had a pair of work shoes that stayed at work. And when I got ready to get off work, I put on a different pair of shoes. So that meant that my work self stayed at work. And when I was walking out the door, then I was that different version of myself, or that compartment of myself.
I like that.
Yeah.
But that really takes a lot of strong will. I think that's effort.
It's effort, but it also protects your peace. It protects you mentally, and it also protects you spiritually.
That is true. Now, that's very true. That's very true. And anything worth having is really worth working for. So
yes.
You can work to do that. I like that. What do you wish churches understood more about serving?
It's not all about you.
It's not. Ooh, say that again. It's not all about you.
It's
all about you.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's not all about you, because you're doing it to edify and glorify God. So when you're serving, you're not serving this chair. You're serving God.
Exactly.
Right? Because you never know that the person you're serving is just an extension of God. We just don't know it.
We just don't know it. We just don't know it. But it's not all about you.
It's not all about you. It's not all about me.
It's not all about you. That's true. That's very true. Minister Jack, you have a question, comments? Go ahead. I apologize.
That's okay. First Lady Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
there's a couple of questions for you.
Yes.
The first one is, do you feel that certain situations, whether in church or out of church, require your response in a position as a first lady, or are you able to just be or answer or handle it just as a woman?
Oh my goodness.
Say that.
So
Do
I
the
say
do
that one more
do it
time.
one more
I
time
will.
because I want to make sure I understand this question.
Wow.
Okay.
Patricia Graham would like to know,
Okay.
do you feel
Mhm.
that certain situations, whether in church or out of church, require your response in a position as a first lady, or are you able to just be or answer or handle it just as a woman?
We're all women. So you always have to answer in the guise that you are a woman.
That's true.
You always should try to protect somebody's heart. You should always try to protect somebody's peace because you can be the only smile that somebody sees today. And if there is a question or a situation that you don't know the totality of, it's always okay to say, give me a day or so, let me get back to you. And then that way you have an opportunity to sit back, digest, pray about it, and then give that person sound advice and not just emotional advice, because those are two very different things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Wow.
So we are always answering as a woman, but we should always take a step back and really look at what is being asked in a scenario before we just jump to a response.
Okay.
Good question. Good question. Thank you, Sister Pat Graham.
Thank you, Sister Pat.
She has another question
Yes,
for you.
ma'am.
Are you ever able to just step outside of your position as a first lady and render a solution in layman terms?
Absolutely, because our husbands are theoretical theologian gems, right? I understand the Bible. Well, I don't like using that word. I know the Bible. I can't quote verbatim. But sometimes pastors and bishops can say things one way. And we're like, okay, what did he just say?
Exactly.
And then we have to break it down in layman terms. We're saying the exact same things that our husband said, but we're just breaking it down in a way that somebody is understanding and can receive it. And that goes back to meeting that person where they are and protecting their heart and looking at their body language.
In your response, she said, amen to both of them.
Amen.
Thank
so
you.
Very true. So very true. So, basically when you just think about it, we as women become in not only shapes and sizes of personalities, but we are not always able to receive each other's personality. I don't know if we give each other enough time or grace to, like you said, well, let me just, even on you, let me just, I see Sister LaToya, I've heard Sister, let me just get a moment to myself so that I can wrap this up and figure her out on my own. Because so often you do hear this and you want to be able to get to know you for who you are and your personality. Speaking about that, what is the hardest expectation placed on first ladies? And I know we've said this conversation several times, but it needs to be broken down. What is the hardest expectation placed on first ladies?
To be everywhere, to be all-knowing, all-present, and sometimes negate who we are as women, not only as a wife, but as a mother. More importantly, we are women. And one key advice that Mother Hardy gave me from Shady Grove Missionary Baptist Church, I love me some Mother Hardy. You have to, the motherboard at Shady Grove Missionary Baptist Church whipped me into shape. Let me just tell you, they were of the mindset you have to be seen and not heard, right? So if you have a question for your husband during Bible study, you don't ask him that in front of everybody, right? You wait till you get in the car. I was in my late 20s, early 30s. I'm like, no. I got this question that I need to have answer, right?
Yes.
But as I matured spiritually, as I matured, I understood what they were saying, because there is a time and a place for everything.
True that. Very true.
And the expectation that people should have is that there is a time and a place for everything.
Yes.
And ultimately, my job is to protect my husband.
Well, I think that's great, because I don't feel like I have to protect London, but I hope that he feels like he has to protect me.
Yeah.
And if you understand what that means, because it
Yeah.
sounds like, because it sounds like Pastor already got your back. He's already telling the people, hey, this is what I expect
Yeah.
of her. This is what's going on. And I think once the pastor kind of not really lets the people know what his expectations are, but one of the let me just digress to say, the expectations of the first lady, someone once said here on the show, to have that conversation with your husband to find out what his expectations are. Then I wouldn't talk to the congregation to find out what their expectations are, because we already know pretty much what it is. And then talk to God and figure out what his expectations of you are as a person.
Absolutely.
And I think we get it
Twisted.
so twisted.
Yes.
We really do, living up to those expectations.
And I think it's a difference when you have a phenomenal first lady and then you're coming behind her.
Oh, yes.
They want you to be just like her and not yourself.
That's true.
So you're trying to fit this mold of somebody that you have never met.
Right.
And then you forget who you are. And then some around the way, you're like, I can be a phenomenal first lady too,
Yeah.
just in my own way.
in your own
And
way.
I think what is important for us to understand as first ladies is we set that expectation that we want our church to have of us.
Absolutely. But I honestly believe that your husband has to play a role in that, because if
Absolutely.
he said, now Sister LaToya, she gonna help serve, but she ain't cooking nothing.
Yeah.
So you gotta, well, why don't she cook a dish, or why don't she do? I'm not gonna cook it, but I certainly will help you serve it.
Absolutely.
And Pastor has already said, oh, she won't cook anything, because again, those are the people that's gonna be in your ear, because you're expected to be a great cook, because
Right.
you're cooking great meals for Pastor. You know what I'm saying?
But we have a phenomenal kitchen ministry at the Hill, so I don't have to cook.
All churches have one. I know this has an excellent one. So yeah, all churches do. I know Jason is motioning me to end my first premiere episode of season 4. He's saying that to me, but I want to ask First Lady LaToya, if every church member could hear one sentence from every first lady, what would it be?
Say that one more time.
If every church member could hear one consistent sentence from every first lady, what would it be?
One consistent message from every. Okay. Well, that's a good question. Love is an action word. Love is not something that young people freely give the word, I love you. But sometimes we have to know and see that people actually love us. And love me for being an individual, not because I'm attached to my husband.
Amen.
I'm grateful for my husband of over 20 years, but love me for being LaToya. Love and appreciate me for being the woman of God that I am, and what I can bring to you and what you can bring to me.
Yes.
Because relationships have to be didactic. There needs to be some give and take, right? But we also have to understand that love is an action. People feel love.
Yes.
Just like we feel hate.
Yes.
We feel love.
Yes.
We feel kindness. We feel peace. We feel patient. So love on one another. And I think all of this would be resolved. And if you don't love me, that's okay. Just respect me enough to like me.
Absolutely. I mean, those are words to grow by.
Yeah.
Jason, you don't have to love me, just respect me.
Yeah. And if you don't respect me, like me because you love my husband.
Yes.
You know, and then eventually you'll get to like me because you'll get to know me.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I do. I absolutely love that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you didn't hear it from me. You heard it straight from First Lady LaToya. So you don't come back to me and say I said. You heard it from First Lady LaToya, who's sitting here in the first chair as she's opening up our first episode of the 4th season. You have really given I'm hoping everyone out there, something to really think about. I love the perspective of all of our first ladies that we give about us, but one thing is consistent. There is an issue, there is a problem, and there is an unrealistic expectation that the people have on us, and all we can truly be is authentically ourselves. And I think somewhere that's getting lost in translation.
Because we don't know what our authentic selves are.
You don't think so? We don't come in knowing what
I don't think so. Because again, especially for a first-time first lady, you know who you are away from the church, right? But you still have to have that, again, those different compartments of yourself.
True. That
you have to be authentically Lady Latoya or Lady London once you cross into that threshold. So be and find your authentic self. And it's okay to reimagine and recreate and rejuvenate that authenticity.
If you were able to, and we are going to close in just a few seconds, Jason, I promise you. If you were to teach a class or develop a class or come up with a class for first ladies, for first-time first ladies, what would it be?
Authenticity and self-care.
For sure.
And let me go back. I would do a class on self-care. Because as women, we pour out so much. We pour. But do we ever get refilled?
Right.
You know, and like the woman at the well, she was refilled.
Yes.
After she found out who Jesus was, because before she was gathering her water from the well, and she said, "How dare you ask me for a drink of water?"
Right.
And sometimes as women of God, we like, well, how dare you ask me for something and and you don't know who I am.
That's true.
But the key to that is
that's true.
Once somebody says, well, I am the Son of Man, I am who I say I am, and then they pour life into you, why can't we pour life into one another?
And say that in the camera.
Yeah, why can't we pour life into one another? We pour into so many different people, so many different institutions.
Yes.
And sometimes people pour from us, we take and we pour and we take and we pour. But at what point do we actually refill?
Right. That's true. And that's women in general.
In general, when do we refill?
That is so true. That is so true. So thank you, First Lady Latoya, for all of this beautiful, insightful, and truly informational, not just for me, again, because that's what this chair is for, but really giving people insight. And Pat, thank you so much for those questions, because I'm hoping that people took note of that, because that was a mouthful. That was a mouthful, so thank you so much for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I guess this concludes the first show of our 4th season. First ladies, if you are interested in being on the show, you know how to get in contact with me. I'm still looking to get my September spots set up. All of August is set up, so I'm super excited about that. But just get in contact with me, and we will be, I would love to have you on the show. Every first lady has a story, and we're waiting to hear yours. So I just want to say this before we get ready to close. Just remember this. The first chair may be visible, but the woman in it is still very human. So before you admire her hat, admire her heart. Before you applaud her service, support her soul. Before you celebrate her title, remember that the woman God called her to be gave her this position. So until next week, take care, God bless, and have an amazing, amazing rest of the evening. Thank you again for joining me on the 4th season of First and Foremost. Good night, and thank you, First Lady Latoya.